Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It is so good to be back with you right here live at the Waterhole today with Africa and WildEarth, and what a beautiful day it is indeed. My name is Amy, and I will be with you for the show today. So I am looking forward to see what we see here.
Sorry about that, everybody. I am back and we are enjoying this beautiful giraffe here in Kenya, thanks to Africam at Oldonyo Lodge. Well, everyone, it is so lovely to be back here with you. I have missed the show, and I hope that everyone is enjoying the Waterhole so far over the last 10 days or so. But it's good to know that even though things do change, everything does, in essence, stay the same. And once again, we have a beautiful giraffe that is enjoying its time here at the water. A reminder to everyone that the show is indeed live and interactive. So please do make sure that you say hello to me. I would love to say hello to you and let me know who you are, where you're from, what you're enjoying about the show. Maybe let me know some of the highlights from the last week while I've been away. And let's see what the afternoon brings us today. There also are quite a few birds around here. And lots of oxpeckers, of course. They come with the giraffe, feeding on any tasty ticks that may be on the giraffe's body, but also they take this opportunity to have a drink of water. And earlier, actually, there was an elephant around here too. So, fingers crossed, maybe we'll see another one arrive here at some point in the next 2 hours. Well, the sun is shining beautifully up here in East Africa, but how about we have a look at what the weather is doing across all our locations? And quite warm all around. The summer has not left us just yet, everyone. And we here in the Lowveld, where I am, around the Greater Kruger National Park area, it's actually quite overcast at the moment, but it is very humid. I am feeling very sticky just sitting here, and I think we are in for a storm, perhaps a little bit later on. Fingers crossed, actually, it feels like we need some rain. I believe the last week or so was extremely hot. Dark Main Lover, so good to hear from you. You say good afternoon, Amy. Thank you for hosting this great show live at the Waterhole. Well, Dark Main Lover, it is a pleasure. It brings me so much joy, and I hope, I enjoy it as much as all of you viewers at home as well. And look at this view that this giraffe is giving us now, walking all the way into the waterhole. Onyx, you say hello, Amy, from Illinois in the USA. Well, a very warm welcome to you, and thank you for letting me know that you're watching. And I do hope that you enjoy the show this afternoon. Autumn, you say, a very tall giraffe on stilts. Well, if a giraffe was to walk on stilts, I actually can't even imagine how tall that giraffe would be. But fortunately, this giraffe needs no stilts at all, although we can imagine it's like they are walking on stilts. That's how tall they are. In autumn, yes, absolutely. They have to bend so far down to get to the water. It is quite a show that we get to see when a giraffe has to try and drink. It's also trying to poop at the moment, but the oxpeckers are. I'd be very irritated if a bird was um, getting in the way of me trying to go to the toilet.
Better is more than a word to us. It's a commitment to conserve our nation's precious landscapes, oceans, and wildlife. It's more sustainable fishing and farming practices, jobs and prosperity for our communities, and access to clean drinking water for all. Better is believing that together we can make a difference. For nature and for you.
Well, that giraffe finished off its drink, everyone, and headed off into the bushes. And now that it has moved away, we are going to head over to another African location at the Olifants River. And what a beautiful spot here that Africam has on the beautiful Olifants River. And there are two, I think just two hippos that I can see at the moment. Now, this is very much the typical behavior that we can expect to see from hippos at this time of the day. Relaxing in the water, I'm not exactly sure if these are two males, two females, a male and a female. Difficult to say with the information we have, but it could be all three combinations. There is a little bit of affection between them, just that sort of resting on the rump of the other one. So these two individuals definitely know each other and are quite happy in each other's company. Claire, hello. You say hi, Amy from the UK. Love the show. It looks so beautiful there. Well, Claire, I can assure you it is indeed very beautiful. All of these locations are some of the most beautiful spots around Africa that we get to look through the eye of and such, and take in these beautiful sights and sounds. Now, unlike other water holes that we see on the show, this, of course, is a river system, meaning that it is open and has water flowing, new water flowing in and out of it all the time. And so we can have different hippos, moving downstream, upstream, crocodiles. We can have animals coming down to drink in the sort of permanent water source, the Olifants River. Very rare that it will run dry, or if ever. Now, I do see quite a few little scratches and dents. If you have a look at their backs, everyone, do you see that there are these slight little markings? And often, just based on my observations, it's something that I tend to see more in males than females, just because the males do tend to have a bit of a tussle every now and again. But sometimes you can find young males are particularly targeted when they are being pushed away by a territorial male hippo. And these could be two young ones that have sort of been pushed out of their natal area and have been forced to move off. And in a big river system like this, that's not too much of a problem because the Olifants River is huge and they can just move off. But in smaller water holes or where there's limited water resource, that can actually become quite a problem and actually be fatal for some of these younger bulls potentially. Barbara, so good to have you with us as well. You say good morning from New Mexico. And it is indeed morning in the States or in that half of the world. So thanks so much for choosing to spend your morning with us. We've got some great camera quality here, everyone, that you can really see these features of this hippo so up close. Great job with the camera work. We're getting a really nice view here. You can see the nostrils right on the tip of the nose there. Actually, the breath the hippo's taking when they expand like that, that's them breathing in, taking in air. You can just imagine him taking in a breath. And then, of course, we've got the eyes. This one fast asleep at the moment. Well, at least relaxing his eyelids. And then hippos have such interesting ears. I'm fascinated by them. They are very small in comparison to their humongous bodies. but they also have full control over them and able to, just like we saw them, flick them around, turn them, listen to different, listen in different directions. Miranda, you want to know, could they be more active if it was cooler? Miranda, yes, most certainly. They can even be more active even if it isn't cooler. It's one of these things that often sometimes a guest can be super surprised, and even myself on occasion, in the searing hot heat, a hippo can be still grazing next to the river or moving around, but it is highly unlikely and unusual for that behavior to take place. So, generally, with larger animals, they tend to be less active in the heat of the day, well, even smaller ones, but in reference to this particular hippo, we think of them, some of the larger mammals that we find, they tend to sort of hide away in the heat of the day. But should it cool down, the likelihood of them being more active increases. And so you may find if there's a nice cool morning, for example, I've experienced this quite a few times, that if you're driving a river road, one that runs parallel to a river system, for example, like the Olifants, I wouldn't be surprised that about even 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, if it remains really nice and cool, that you may encounter a hippo crossing the road heading back towards the water. But usually we don't see that if it is very, very hot already in the morning.
Experience captivating wildlife documentaries showcasing incredible animal behavior for free by visiting lionmountain.tv or downloading the app, accessible on both Apple and Android platforms.
We have been enjoying this beautiful view of this hippo here. And I've taken the opportunity to just have a closer look at those nostrils, everyone, because this is giving us a very unique angle, I must say. I don't think I've ever looked at a hippo's nostrils the way we can with this particular camera angle. And they look like quite clear slits down the top. And that would make sense to me because when a hippo goes underwater, they, of course, seal off the openings. And that means that those slits can actually, they come together, and it means that water doesn't go down the hippo's nose, of course. And it also makes sense as to why when they re-emerge, often after being under the water for quite some time, and they exhale through that nostril, we often get that beautiful spray that, if caught at the right moment with the sun in the right place, either early in the morning or late in the afternoon, you can get some beautiful photographs. And while these hippos wallow away here at the Olifants River, let's head over to Rosie's Pan. Well, from one animal that enjoys wallowing in the water to another. And here we have a very cute warthog, everyone, who's come to cool off here at Rosie's Pan. There's also a lot of birds around, which is nice to see. In fact, an oxpecker right on the nose of this warthog. I can hear blackback puffback calling in the background. Now, this warthog is quite small, still quite young, has a bit of growing to do. And I can just see that by the size of the head, it can still get quite a lot wider. Those tusks can get a little bit longer, but still now big enough to be on its own, although there may be a friend or two around that moved off earlier or just out of view of the camera. I'm not sure what this warthog is doing now, actually, everyone. Looks like he's found something to munch on there. Sometimes animals, we see them doing this quite often, called geophagia, where they choose to eat some of the soil and ground to make up any deficiencies of nutrients that they may lack in their diet. Different times of the year, they may find themselves needing to do that. Joanne, you say a warthog looks bigger than a domestic pig. I'm not gonna I don't think I can say exactly yes or no to that, but I do think some of the domestic pigs that I've seen in my life can grow very, very large. But I also know that a male warthog, for example, can get very big as well. But I think they're pretty much the same, sort of a typical warthog, maybe slightly a little bit leaner. I'll have to find out the exact weight comparison there for you there, Joanne. But I do think some of the male warthogs can get a lot larger than a domestic pig. This particular one, I would say, is very much in a similar range. And back into the mud. Victor, you have a word of warning for this warthog to enjoy before the elephants arrive. And you are so right. If there are ellies that do come here to Rosie's pan, this warthog will very quickly have to move out of the way. Autumn, it is a great view of this warty, and he's having a bit of a scratch here on this rubbing post. Perfect height for a warthog, that little stump that's sticking out at the end of this fallen over tree. I think one of the many joys for a wallowing animal is to find the right rubbing post. That must be so satisfying. Nick, hello to you. Welcome. You are wanting to know how common warthogs are to the area. And Nick, they are very common. We get to see plenty of warthogs out on game drives. I wouldn't say they're quite as common as an impala in terms of out sort of grazing in the fields or the plains, but we do tend to see them quite regularly. Stephen, hello. So good to hear from you again as well. And you say warthogs are one of your favorite animals to come across. Well, I'm so glad we have one on the show for you today, Stephen, and doing really what a warthog does best, which is having a good mud bath. Jan, it is indeed a lovely waterhole here at Rosie's Pan. And often we actually not only get things like warthogs and elephants coming down to drink, but lots of birds as well enjoy coming down for a drink or a water bath. There were quite a few earlier. I can hear plenty calling around us as well. Well, that was a really fun little time that we had here with that warthog, everyone. But let's go see what's happening at Cat Eye Pan. And speaking of impalas, here are some. Actually got 3 on screen at the moment showing the different sort of sizes of impala. A fully grown male on the right, and then a younger male in the middle, and then we did have a little one that's now moved off. But these impalas are mixed feeders, so you can see not only do they eat grass, but that male with the horns on the right, he's also browsing on the trees. And we have a female giving a sniff around. Look at those nostrils working up and down, up and down. Oh, she's coming right to us. This particular Africam is so great in its position because it can get right up to the face of animals if they choose to come say hello to us. We had a fantastic sighting here, must be months ago now, with some baboons who thought this camera was very, very fascinating.
Experience captivating wildlife documentaries showcasing incredible animal behavior for free by visiting lionmountain.tv or downloading the app, accessible on both Apple and Android platforms.
Well, everyone, we are back here at the Olifants River. Oh, almost like this hippo heard me say hello. And we've just been enjoying watching these two still resting out here in the sunshine. And you can see the general impression you get of these particular hippos is, for me anyway, is that head is quite small still. There are some hippos that you see and that head is just humongous. So these are definitely two younger hippos. They still have a way to go growth-wise. Difficult for me to give any sort of exact aging, but they're not quite fully matured yet in terms of size and weight, and the bone size of their skull as well still has to grow. Stephen, you want to know if they graze only around the water at night or do they venture deeper? Now, Stephen, that all has to do with the grazing quality and availability in the area where the hippo is. So they're not going to walk further than what they have to. If they can just graze around the river at night, then that is what they'll do. But often we find, especially during the winter months where things are drier, they need to venture further, and they can walk 8 to 10 kilometers even if they need to, possibly even further if there is no food available for them. Within a night, so that they can find the grass that they need. But Stephen, it's both. So they can stay right next to the water if there is enough grass available. Otherwise, they will have to venture further away from the water into the bushveld. Autumn, you have asked such an interesting question, and it's something that I think is often spoken about or mentioned, but never quite fully understood. And that is whether hippos actually produce their own sunscreen. Now, a little while ago, there was a study done, which is where this information comes from. And the answer to that, in terms of what we understand as sunscreen, no, they don't produce their own UV resistant white cream that they can put on their skin at all. But you can see, first thing to mention is that hippos' skin contains melanin, which is just like rhinos and elephants. And that is this darker color within their skin, which means that they don't get sunburnt the way that we would. If you have a fairer complexion, or even if you have a darker complexion, it's still you're still able to get sunburn. But the density of melanin within these hippos is very dense, so they can lie in the sun here and not worry about it. However, should this hippo actually get out of the water completely, you'll find that around their bellies and the backs of their legs and things like that, their body does actually get quite pink. And what you're talking about or may have heard of, Autumn, is actually referred to hippo sweat, inverted commas, and it's a secretion that comes out of their skin, which is sort of a reddy orange pigment or color, and that helps with scattering light so that the sun isn't so intense on their skin. And that is what the sunscreen is sometimes referred to as when we refer to hippos. And their danger is not so much the burning of their skin, as you can see, they've got plenty of melanin, but more the dehydration of their skin. And that is why they need to be in the water for such an extended period of time, and they can be very vulnerable to that dehydration, which can lead to them dying at the end of the day. And it's one of the animals that is highly affected by drought. I think hippo and buffalo are the first two animals that you see suffer, in my experience, when there is severe drought within the Greater Kruger specifically, is where most of my experience has been. And I remember in about 2015, 2016, there was a major drought in the area, and I remember seeing dead or dying hippos around the Sabi River. Buffalo as well were just being hunted by lions. So it's not a nice scene at all, but those are the two possibly least resilient animals. And Stephen, you were asking about the most resilient. And I would say that those are the animals that are least reliant on water. So often, actually, you'll find in times of drought where there is still at least moisture coming through prey, your predators actually thrive within times of drought. So if we look at those statistics, you'll see that throughout that drought period is actually where some of the predator numbers within the greater Kruger increased, because there was so much more food around for them. The prey animals were a lot more vulnerable. And so it's an interesting dynamic to look at. But in terms of resilience within drought, I think your predators have the upper hand for sure in that particular scenario.
We've got a refreshing splash of entertainment this March. Africam is surfacing with a new show. Join us every morning and submerge yourself in nature's ambience. Watch it live and transport yourself to the finest watering holes across Africa. WildEarth, connecting with nature.
Sorry about that, everyone. We just had a frozen feed, but we have hopped on over to Djuma, where there is an oxpecker on an impala. You can see these impalas have moved into the shade here. And although it is overcast every now and again, the sun does peep through and it does become exceptionally warm. So you can understand why these animals have sought out some shade while they're feeding and ruminating. Joanne, you say you don't see oxpeckers on eddies too often. Do elephants have tough skin? Well, ellies do most definitely have a tough skin that's able to withstand a lot out here in the bush, and they're not too worried about that in terms of things affecting them on their hides. But when it comes to oxpeckers, that's not really the reason why we don't see oxpeckers on elephants. It's more because the elephants just really don't like them. They don't tolerate them sitting on them and pecking away at them. So that is why we don't see them on them very often. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen an oxpecker on an elephant. I know it does happen, it can occur, but it's got nothing to do with their skin, Jan. It's got to do with the fact that the elephants just don't enjoy the oxpeckers, and I think they are just very irritating to them. From what I've read on this particular topic is that although an elephant's skin is very tough, it is also very sensitive. So with that in mind, more so than a rhino or a hippo, or even the animals with a full-on coat of fur, which like an impala we see in front of us, or zebra or giraffe, that sort of bare skin means that the elephant can feel all that sort of pecking and poking and prodding, which they clearly don't appreciate, and they don't enter into that symbiotic relationship with the oxpeckers like the other pachyderms that we see around the bush. Well, let's go check in at what's happening at Comfort's Dam. Well, I haven't been here in a while, everybody, and it looks like we have some flamingos back, which is wonderful to see, as well as a lot of other birds around. Now, sometimes we even actually able to see some antelopes around here at this location in the background. I see some black-winged stilts moving. We actually have seen a lot of red-knobbed coots here at Comfort's Dam as well. Now, it looks like these flamingos are all greater flamingos. I'm not going to say 100% certainty because I can only see they all look very white and quite large, whereas your lesser are a little bit more pinky and a bit smaller in size. Those two birds seem to be chasing each other around. I'm not sure what they're doing or what species they are, to be honest with you. We do see quite a lot of gulls here, grey-headed gulls, terns, and of course Egyptian geese as well. Oh, sorry about that, everyone, but we have jumped back over to Djuma, where we've just been looking around to see if there's anything else that's coming down to the water today. For a second, I thought the sort of end of the log on the left corner of the screen was an elephant at a distance, but it is indeed just some roots that are bent over. Looks like an elephant trunk and ear there. You can also see that it is a little bit windy today. You can see the moving of the trees there, and I'm very grateful for the breeze. with it being as hot as it is and willing the storm to break through this evening. I'm hoping so. It's nice to have a cooler bit of wind in the air. All right, let's head back over to Kenya and see what's happening over there. I see a little terrapin's got into the water there too, just on this little pool on the right. But great to see this Eddie bull just going about his day. And I was just saying how first Eddie for me for the show. It's good to know they are still around. I do apologize for that, everyone, but we have popped back over to Juma where there are some impalas feeding. Hopefully we can be back with that elephant soon enough. Alright everyone, we are going to head over to Namibia and see what's happening today at Okukuyo. And it looks quite quiet, but we do have, it looks like a gemsbok who's come down to drink, as well as some springbuck around. Looks like a beautiful day here as well in Namibia. Clear skies all around. And it looks like this gemsbok is having a good drink here. Plenty of animals needing to eventually get to this particular spot for water. And I'm hoping this week, while I'm with you till Friday, that we maybe get a glimpse of some elephants here at Okokul. That was such a treat. And I think it was December. We got to see them here for about 3 or 4 days in a row, which was amazing. I see the Egyptian geese are also still around. I think that is now the chicks that have grown up, pretty much fully grown. Beautiful thing about this spot is when it is completely calm, there's no wind and it's just still, you get these perfect reflections, and we can see that now with the springbuck drinking in the water. Almost a perfect mirror image of it there. Until it gets a fright. I actually thought for a minute that it slipped. It sort of dipped its bum into the water and then it hopped away. I'm not sure if there was something that moved in there. It wouldn't be anything like a crocodile. We don't find them in the water holes in this particular area due to the lack of large river systems. But they are skittish animals, very sensitive to things around them. So if there was any sort of loud noise or sudden movement, then they would run away.
Out in the wild, life moves fast. To capture the action, you've got to be in the right spot at the wrong time. Now, incredible animal behavior, selected from amazing amateur and professional footage, to reveal the secret lives of animals in motion. This is raw nature, caught in the act.
Well, we have a beautiful tortoise here drinking and a superb starling in view. What a fantastic sighting. Well, we are enjoying what looks to be a leopard tortoise here at O'Donnell Lodge, who finally made it to the waterhole for some water. And it's been here for a while already, definitely taking advantage of making it all the way here. I won't leave until it has all the water that it needs. You can actually see those neck muscles moving as the water goes down its throat. Now this particular tortoise is quite large. I think it's basically fully grown. And there is also a Namakwa dove that's landed just to the right of the camera. There was also an emerald spotted wood dove around. Plenty of little creatures coming out here in Kenya today, which is fantastic news for us. Catherine, you say this is awesome. You've never seen one here. Same, actually. I was just saying to Gwen today that, well, she was saying she hasn't seen this before, and neither have I on the show. So very, very awesome to see such a good view of this tortoise here at the waterhole. Mina, you and Autumn both agree that this is indeed a fine tortoise, and it is so cool to watch it taking a drink, isn't it just? And what an interesting creature a tortoise is. Sort of prehistoric in many ways. It has such interesting legs and feet, the sort of body inside the shell, which is its exoskeleton, and it's got such an interesting mouth, sort of like a beak, that works, and a little tongue, a little water pouch as well called a bursa, which helps it through the winter times. And it is a fascinating animal. And it just looks ancient, even if it is a baby. Zim, it is such a treat. I'm just letting you all enjoy the moment and take in the scene here, as this is something actually very rare that we don't see too often. And with the bird calls in the background, it is just a magical moment here at the Waterhole.
This is On Safari. Now remember, this is live and interactive, so we'd love to hear from you.
To be having these incredible experiences in this wild underwater forest.
It was just one of those things which I don't think I'll ever see again in my life.
Thanks for joining us on our Sunrise Safari.
Well, Canine Girl, it is so good to have you with us. I'm sorry we couldn't stay with the tortoise any longer, but I'm so glad that you did get to see it. And it was a great time to join where we had it on screen. But for now, we're having a look at some birds here at Juma. And there's an Egyptian goose, which can't quite decide if it's going to stand on one leg or not. And then there is also a little three-banded plover that we saw just move off screen to the right-hand side. Now we have about 20 minutes of the show left, and I must say so far it really has been amazing. We've seen such a variety of different animals and interesting sightings along the way. But I think what makes it endlessly sort of fascinating and so interesting for me is the questions and comments that we get from all of you at home. So thank you so much for that. If you do want to join the conversation on X, you can use the hashtag WildEarth. Darkmane Lover, I could not agree with you more. You say you love the sounds of nature or the bush. They are absolutely beautiful. And I just never get tired of it, no matter how many times I hear it. And it's interesting, at different times you find different sounds of the bush. So the morning compared to the evenings, compared to the middle of the day. And of course weather dependent as well. And then of course the times of the year. So in the summer you've got lots more bird calls. Early morning dawn chorus is just absolutely beautiful. It's one of my favorite things to enjoy. And then you've got the evening time around the fire with the fiery neck nightjars in the background, which is just glorious. And then in the day, the Cape turtle doves calling and just enjoying the sounds of impalas feeding, the elephants drinking. All right, everyone. Well, we are going to head back up to Old Donyo Lodge and see what has come to drink over there. Well, it looks like some giraffes have arrived, everyone. The tortoise is finished off. And now we have these giraffes who have decided to approach the waterhole. I always love to just take a moment and watch these giraffes come to the water. Now, they are cautious, but they seem to have decided that now is a good time for their drink. The one on the left has taken the plunge, but the one on the right is not quite there yet. Well, everyone, we are being treated here in the last few minutes of the show with these two elephants who have come down to the river. And one has actually gone to the other side and started feeding. Those elephants are so well camouflaged, you can barely see them now against the background of that riverside. And it is incredible how such a large animal can disappear out here. And it just goes to show that that dark grey color is actually very effective. And speaking of elephants, everyone, I believe one has come to Old Daniel. So let's head over there to end of the show. Well, this was what I was hoping for right at the beginning of the show. We started off with some giraffes, and I said there was an elephant here earlier, but here we have this magnificent bull with these beautiful tusks, quite uniquely shaped. Spice, it's so good to hear from you. You say great end to the show, and thank you for an amazing show today. Wasn't it just a wonderful, Spice? It was so good to be back with you all, and I'm looking forward to the week ahead to see what else we find that comes down to the waterholes. But this indeed is such a lovely way to end the show today. Well, everyone, once again from me, thank you so much for a wonderful show today. I really hope you all at home have enjoyed it as much as I have enjoyed chatting to you all. Thank you for all your comments and your questions. And once again, we'll be doing it tomorrow at the same time, same place, right here on Wild Earth. So please do make sure that you come back and join us at 1 p.m. Central African time, where I will be back with you. I hope you all have a wonderful day further.
Well, a very good afternoon to everybody. Welcome once again to our beautiful highlight show. My name is Cedric, and behind the camera with me we've got Muscles Mpo, and we are coming from Djuma Private Game Reserve here in the world-renowned